Hello there. The harsh truth is that our establishment has successfully made the insidious groomers part of our UK culture, and they are now going after Elon Musk to ensure it remains so. This vile practice has been going on for so long and has been so widespread that it has become part of UK national culture. Yes, that might shock you, but it is the truth. And far from wanting to eradicate it, the establishment is doing all it can to keep it that way. To the point that they are targeting the man who has fully exposed it to the world and is doing all he can to help us put a stop to it, Elon Musk. Yes, the full security apparatus of the state has been tasked to investigate Elon Musk and his use of X to influence this much-needed, in fact essential, debate. The Mirror says it understands that the government's counter-extremism unit has been assessing the risk posed to Britain by tweets shared by Elon Musk in recent weeks. And the reason given for doing this is, we might get violent. It comes as extremism experts warn that the toxicity of social media could once again trigger violence on our streets, says the Mirror. So let me get this straight. Decades of inaction leading to possibly hundreds of thousands of our female offspring being abhorrently exploited and worse is not the problem. Nothing to see here. But a few messages on social media that highlights this past, present and seemingly ongoing failure into the future is the problem. What they're saying, yes, what they're saying is shut Musk and his ex down and anyone else who has the nerve to talk about it, and then the country can get back to this foul, new, progressive cultural norm they have created. That's what it amounts to. Don't tell me they're not trying to protect the great and good, who as far as I'm concerned are up to their necks in it, either as facilitators or worse as groomers themselves. If this story is true, and I have no reason to doubt it, it shows how skewed our justice system has become, how culturally embedded these groomers have become in our society, how far the powers that be and their security forces will go to protect this new groomer cultural practice. No talk about pouring ever more of these security assets into combating the groomers. No, divert it to deal with those exposing the practice. Reform UK MP Rupert Lowe is absolutely correct to be asking serious questions about how much money is being spent and how many police officers are working on monitoring Musk's posts on X, but not being spent or used on an inquiry. Now, the Mirror also says it understands that the Home Office has stepped up extra monitoring to assess content and the reach of what is being shared on social media site X, especially in relation to accounts with large followings, including Mr. Musk's. The counter-terrorism unit has been involved in content analysis and wider risk assessment. Going on to point out that the unit doing this sits within the Homeland Security Group, whose mission is to reduce national security risks to the UK's people, prosperity and freedoms. Focusing on the highest risks to the homeland, it carries on. What greater risk to the homeland can there be than the mass exploitation of our offspring and the ruination of their lives and futures? You could not make this up. As ever, shoot the messenger, don't deal with the contents of the message. And in a tiresomely predictable manner, the Director of Research of Hate Not Hope comes out with the usual rhetoric of Elon Musk being some sort of extremist. So protecting our young is now considered as extremist, is it? And you have to ask yourself how many people now visit these islands to partake. The logic of total support for it from Westminster to the town halls, from national to local politicians, from Whitehall mandarins to council officials, from the Met to the local cop shop, from the social services to the courts, all points to a concerted effort to make the groomers part of our culture. And now we have MPs voting for the quiet life and a government deploying the organs of state to do all it can to protect itself, instead of protecting the vulnerable who should be protected. While the world looks on and wonders what we've done to ourselves, historians will look back on the last 40 or so years and will point to all of us alive today accusing us of being obedient little facilitators. That's how the history books will reflect these decades. The decades when the innocence of the young was stripped away from the national psyche forever. And what of the brave few that really put their heads above the parapet, those that put everything on the line to bring it to our attention, those that refused to be slapped down? What of them? Well, that's up to us. Do we join the fight and demand that the groomers and their numerous abettors be hunted down and dealt with? Do we demand that the victims be fully compensated from the stripped assets of those groomers and their helpers? Or do we quietly bow before the false demands of multicultural cohesion for the sake of diversity and let the groomers and their facilitators win? If we do the former, those that stuck to their grim task of outing the groomers will be hailed in history as heroes. If not, they will be vilified by future woke historians as obstacles to establishing a progressive new UK culture, where the innocence of youth is a thing of the past. This is what is truly at stake here. If we do not come down harshly on all involved going back decades, then we are truly writing a horrific future for our offspring, especially our daughters and granddaughters. A future where this nation is openly known around the globe for this new cultural practice, where the wrong people are ever more encouraged to visit and the good people stay away, where Brits abroad are treated with a massive dose of suspicion, as people say, "You know what they get up to in the UK, don't you?" That's where we're headed, unless we bring this whole groomer structure crashing down right now. And if in doing so we have to offend a culture or two, I for one do not care one jot. Too many young lives have already been destroyed to allow it to continue for 1 second longer, let alone allowing the uni-party establishment to spend more of our tax money on allowing the practice to continue unabated and on protecting themselves from scrutiny. It's not Elon Musk that is extremely toxic, it is the UK establishment that is extremely toxic for allowing this revolting practice to bud and then flourish almost openly in the UK for so long, and then protect those doing it.